What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Lab podcast. As always, I'm your host, Coach A, here with
Coach Gards.
What's up, Rye?
Yeah, coming down to the end here.
We are coming down to the end.
Sad. I was watching a couple of the pros leave today, and it's like you're losing your buddies.
You send them off.
Yeah,
You send
like
them
off to school.
Yeah, no, it's
First days of school too. So
we've also
welcome
had
back,
that,
kids.
yeah, kids, parents, and good time to kick the pod back up because you got to start driving again a lot. You know, families are in the car.
Yes, lots to talk about in the car, and if not, listen to us, and hopefully it kills your time before hockey games or on your way home when you don't want to talk to your child because you're a little bit frustrated, and maybe you didn't think you worked that hard. So just flip it on and take it easy on the child.
That's good. I talked about that this past week. I did a talk for one of the Marlies teams.
Oh, that's right.
And that was one of the things that I talked about the parents. It was hilarious. All the kids come in and the parents are like, sit in the front row, get there. And a couple kids train here. And so their parents will know this. They're like, get in the front row and listen. And then these parents go as far back as possible, like at the very back of the room. I'm like, yeah, get in the front row, but not me.
We had a parent meeting.
I'm going to sit in the back. They just kept doing this.
We had a parent meeting too last night, and they're just all on the outside on the back. It's funny.
Let it pull them in.
Yeah.
Well,
it's important.
Oh, nice little bone broth. We still have a heating issue in this place. So, so back to school, which has been fun. West guy, our little guy's back in school as well. So he's in daycare for the first time. And whatever, you've got two kids. So
first couple of days of high school. So I think it's a nervous time for kids. But I mean, I think he was fortunate. Like he's going to school with he probably knows 300 or the 400, right? I was one of those guys that went from different grade school from a different town to a first high school. So you're walking in there when you're not knowing anybody. You're just like looking around the bus when you get on the bus the first day and you're like, hey, you want to be buddies? You need somebody to wheel in with. But
that makes sense.
Yeah. So first days of high school, first days of school. And then on top of that, I guess we can talk about, first days of OHL camp, training camp, preseason started. And so a bunch of our guys have gone back, and you guys have obviously partnered with a great organization, and it's a, big step for GR and
Go Dogs.
Yeah. Go Dogs. And how's that been going so far? Oh, there it is. Yes. Golf balls.
Go Dogs. Should we just little merch right there? It's been good, actually. It's tons of fun and a completely new experience for me, undoubtedly. And so working in the private sector is significantly different than working in a team or collegiate setting. And these are conversations that I've had a lot with friends that are strength coaches that work inside of the collegiate sector. So they work for, colleges or universities or a pro organization. And it's different in that if a player comes to work with us, they have self-selected. They've put their hand up and they've said, hey, I want to come be a part of what you guys have going on. And if that's the case, if you're going to put your hand up and say, hey, I want to come, you want it.
Yeah.
And you want it, and you're excited to be there.
Yeah.
And you have a belief in the system that is being implemented inside of that facility. And we've got a lot of great players here, and we have a lot of guys that are dogs, like get after it, especially at the very top level. And you've talked about this on a couple pods. You see these guys in July and early August chasing down pucks, even though the first meaningful hockey game isn't until October. It's like they're battling.
Meaningful, like the pace doesn't even pick up until let's say January.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so you have a long runway, but we got guys that are here that are dogs and they want to be here. And
just
push.
Quickly, short one on that one. Just in the elevator with Ty, and he's like, man, this long off season's been crazy. He's home April 18th, starting to work out, May 10th, and he's been on the ice June and gets after it every day, getting after it. And now he's still got 2-3 weeks of training camp. Like it's crazy. It's just like they want the season to start. Let's go.
So that was the biggest thing. There's a few things that were interesting. So one I'll talk about, which is exactly that. Now you have people that are part of team. And so, everyone likes hockey. Some people love hockey. Not everyone loves preparing. And this is the case across every single team and organization, right? And you've got a lot of personalities coming in, and junior hockey turns over so much that you've got, a relatively fresh team every couple of years.
You get maybe a core for 2 years, 2.5, and then
they're gone.
Depending on what the team's doing, if they're trying to push, then yeah.
Exactly. And so a little different than the pro game.
Which I think has changed. I don't remember the trades being so numerous in the OHL back in the day, but maybe I wasn't paying attention to it.
So that's been unique in that you're meeting all these players all at once and just trying to get a system set up for them. And some of them want to get after it and some of them do not. Right. And so I think then the other component of that is that we work with some great hockey players that play in the National Hockey League at the top level. And so they're true pros, right? And they treat the game like pros. And then the junior players that come and train with us treat the game like pros because they're in the environment and they see what is required all the time. And then you get into this environment, this junior environment, where like a lot of these kids just don't realize what is required yet. It gets very, very hard to make it. You have to work really hard and it will require everything. And they just don't, it's not that they don't want to do it. It's just, they don't realize like what is actually required.
Or some of them might not even know.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like they are ignorant to what is the requirement.
Right.
And so that's been interesting and unique, but just to see kids come in and you might think that you are doing a lot and doing enough, but you are miles away from the best in the world. Right?
Yeah, I think we keep hitting on it. I mean, it goes back to like, okay, there is a God-given gift of talent, but then there's the preparation and how hard you're going to work and how prepared you have to be before you even step on the ice. We've tried to implement it with our team. I know we'll get to this after, but like, and it's a fine line, and it's something like I wanted to touch with you about it, but like pre-warm-ups, right? So the kids come in and then they just stick handle the golf ball all the time, right? Which is great. Yeah, you're getting your hands on. But I've asked them now, 5 minutes after arriving, I want them to do the pre-warm-up that we worked on. Before practice, not just before a game. No. And because you don't want to waste those practice days, right? And, the flip side of it is what you're saying is like a lot of those guys maybe aren't dialed. And so you don't want them to come in and be like, oh, I got to do this again. Oh, I got to do this again. And then hate the game, right? So it's a fine line. But at the end of the day, I want them to realize like this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life.
If you hate the game because you do a 10-minute warm-up, like you might as well just quit right now and find a new sport.
Right. But that's what I'm trying to drill into their heads. You have to be prepared.
Yeah, because
and I think
if like there's obviously things we've got one of the greatest jobs in the world, but I got lots of stuff I don't like to do. Like that's just part of it.
Yeah.
If the warm up, you might as well just go find something new.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be prepared. Like
going, I don't know, hanging out.
I'll sit up at nights for hours, just racking my brain about, don't push them through the same drills. How do we work them? Where are we in the schedule? And that's just me, but I feel like I learned that later on in life with hockey.
Right.
In respects to hockey.
Yeah.
I walked into junior not knowing a thing.
Of course.
Didn't have anybody helping me, didn't have a trainer, didn't have any, idea of how to work. And it really wasn't until I met a couple of the NHL guys that came back and played were from Finland, but played in the NHL and came back and like kind of took me under their wing and just said, hey, let's go. We went for runs. Like, did it make a difference? Probably. It made a big difference, but it was just doing stuff.
You just didn't know that you need to do it until then.
Exactly.
For sure.
So these young kids coming in, you hope that, and I know we know a couple of the guys that are in Brantford. So you say, hey, you're the core guys. You got to grab the rope and let's go together.
Yep. So yeah, no, it was interesting. So that's been part of it. Just like getting them
motivated.
Yeah, motivated. Not even motivated, but just getting them understanding the process. Right. Like this is the requirement. Like, let's go get after it.
Yeah.
And then the other component, and this is something that I didn't really realize, players leave us, but preseason's still a long time. Like it's not like we just talked about with Ty leaving, right? No different. The guys' last training day with us for most of these OHL kids was August 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means they moved into their billet house on the 4th, the Sunday for a lot of them, 23rd for some of them on the Saturday. Training camp started 25th or 26th, depending on the team. We don't have our first true game, like true meaningful game, not preseason game, until September 19th, right? So
it's
last training day is August 22nd at
almost a month.
GRP. First game is the 19th. Yeah, you have a month.
And you can, if you don't keep it up, you can lose all the stuff you've done.
You cannot take your foot off the gas. Like not in that capacity. Like you've got to train. We have to train. We have to train hard. We have to get after it because we have a full month before the season starts. Okay, once the season starts, then we'll worry about undulating intensities and making sure that we still get our training sessions in. But yeah, maybe we're pulling back a little bit. But preseason, like you can't just shut it down. So that's one of the things I was surprised about. Just guys like,
I'm here.
Like I'm here. It's like, well, yeah, you're here, but we got 4 weeks until we have to play a game that matters. Like, what do you think is going to happen if we don't work on speed and power the entire time? Yeah. Like when you get there, you're not going to be fast and powerful anymore. Yeah. You're going to be soft. Yeah. So you've got to keep training. So it's the same with the kids that leave here. And we can talk about your training camp. It was great to have your guys in here and in the gym, but it's like you leave your summer program, wherever that might be or whatever you're doing, you get to training camp and then you just get buried on the ice for 2 weeks a lot of these like minor hockey training camp programs, and you don't touch a weight. And then you get into the season and you got like nagging injuries that are popping up like in your hips and in your low back because the volume of skating just went through the roof and the amount of training that you did just plummeted to the basement. And you're like, I wonder why my low back hurts. I'm like, well, I got a couple decent ideas, right?
Yeah.
And so it's staying on top of that is so important. So that was the other thing I learned about training camp. Just preseason is so long at these levels. And the NHL guys are no different. Guys left last week because their kids go to school, or a guy like Stammer who plays in Nashville, or Landy. Their kids go to school, so they have to be back for mid-August. Training camp's not
month and a half till the season
the
starts.
17th of September, I think, is training camp start this year. So they got a full month and then another month. So they have 2 months almost until the season kicks off. So anyway, I don't even know where I'm going with that, but that shocked me. It was a good learning experience for me.
Right. So you have to continue it on, and maybe that changes the way you work them in the summer a little bit. The problem is that I feel like some guys will do that, and if you don't have your hands on some of our athletes after they leave, it maybe tapers off, right?
100%.
Or their teams don't continue it. So, I mean, I look at our guys and like you said, we had our training camp here, and it was a great experience. I think they got to see some of the best players in the world, and I pushed them hard and I skated them hard. I think it's important because some of these kids won't be on the ice, and you try to work on their skill and their touches again. But, they're in the gym, they're doing stuff. And then now we started our sort of prep to season start. We have a couple games here and there, but because of the situation where we're not at this great facility again, we don't have the opportunity to lift, right? And these kids are young. So
training.
So so you have to be on that, and don't let it slide.
Yeah, I think so. In general, team training is done really poorly. We're doing our very best to change that. But in general, it just becomes, so you need to train in season. There's no question about it. Like we've talked about it a million times. And this is the example that I used with a parent a couple of days ago. So imagine, it's like a financial model, right? So imagine that I want to grow my money. And so in the summer, I work really hard and I put $100 into an account. And all year I continue to train and I add $5 every time I train to that account. And so that cash, it compounds already on its own. But then as I add deposits, by the time the next summer comes around, I'm sitting at $150 in the account and I can make another big deposit into that account and I can grow it over time. If we don't do that, we put $100 in the account and then we don't do anything all year. Like at the end of it, we don't even have $100. We actually probably have $70 or $80 because we're taking cash out every time. Yeah. We're working really hard on the ice. We're getting sick. We're stressed through school. We have all these factors that are actually taking away from that nice base that we built. So in-season training is non-negotiable. You cannot think that 24 lift sessions or 40 lift sessions are going to carry you for 10 months. They are not.
Yeah.
Because that's all you get. You get 24 lifts. 8 weeks is only 24 lifts, 3 days a week. If you came and trained in the spring too, maybe we get to double that and you get 48 lifts. But you're still going to go.
Yeah. So we're saying 1 to 2 times a week.
Yeah, twice a week. You have to train twice a week. It's non-negotiable in my mind, in some capacity. So team training, it's great if your team does it, but I think where teams and facilities miss on team training is that it becomes this kind of mashup of babysitting and conditioning, right? Like the kids just go in there, the parents want to see them sweaty or their coaches want to see them sweaty, so they just get buried the whole time. It's like they're just sprinting with sleds back and forth, or they have some sort of like circuit going on. They've got so many athletes in a facility that's not large enough to support them. So you've got 1,500 square feet. You've got 20 kids jammed in there. You don't have enough equipment for the kids to use. You've got one coach who's basically a cheerleader at this point, blowing a whistle, setting. And not to say that you can't set up like proper circuit training, but the kids should leave with more competency than they came in with. And so part of it is, it's a long-term athletic development model. So part of it is we need them to be in shape and strong. Yeah. But also part of it is like, we need to teach them so that when they leave Gary Roberts Performance and they go to a different gym, they're like, oh man, like you squat really well. Where'd you learn to do that? Because at a lot of the younger ages, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, like that matters more than whether or not we got 1% stronger during the season.
Technique. And when it kicks in. We've talked about this before.
Exercise selection matters. Yeah. But just because you pick the right exercise with the wrong technique, it doesn't, that you don't get the impact. Right.
And I just see it with our guys. Like, it's just like just the coordination factor too, like the speed drills, the simple like high knees and stuff. You look at some of these kids, and even the warm up yesterday, the one kid was doing a totally opposite way. I was like, left
arm,
hand's
left
going
leg,
up and
vice
so.
versa. Yeah, so you have to continue to train. Training camp, preseason, like that's a period where you can continue to get better. You're on the ice a lot with the team. I get it, but you need to offset that. And then, once it gets to in season, like team related, you need to. If your team isn't doing something, you definitely need to be getting some sessions in on your own. If your team is doing it, I still argue you probably need, one more individual session. And we have a lot of kids that are doing that. Their team comes and then they come and see us one other time. And I think that's a great mix because, we can scale the training up for them when they're in as an individual, as opposed to
getting all the it's like getting more touches on the ice.
Exactly.
It's like a session with 3 guys instead of a session with 20 guys.
Exactly. Yeah. And you have to, if you have a team session, as a coach, you need to coach to the lowest common denominator. Like we need to bring the bottom up. Right. And so some of the guys
we could talk about that. That'd be another good podcast because I agree with that. But at the same time, I think I've seen that happen before and it doesn't work well for everybody. I think you got to push everybody to try to, I mean, maybe we have the same conversations, just the different way we talk about it, but you got to push guys to be up at the top.
Oh, undoubtedly. Yeah. There's different
ways, right?
You need to scale it based on the individual. So what we'll do with teams, we'll try and bucket the players. And so let's say it's like, we have high, medium, low experience levels.
Okay, I got you there.
And then you assign exercises and loads based on that.
Yeah.
It's like this kid's trained for 2 summers. They're really competent. They've been in a good facility.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're going to do rear foot elevated dumbbell split squat. This kid's brand new. We're going to do a split squat kettlebell position, right? And so, you scale or you try and surf up and down the level of competency, but it is challenging.
Yeah.
So I think an individual session,
you get it's more touches.
Touches,
and exactly.
And then one time a week, it's good, it's okay. But I really do think if you had asked me this question last year, I would have said once is enough. But now I really don't.
What are we looking at the off season? 8 weeks, right? We have 52 weeks, so we're at 40. My 44, right? 44 times 2, that's 88 lifts. So take 4 weeks out of that just for something.
Yeah.
Christmas break, so we're at 80 lifts.
It's not a lot.
No.
It's like still not a lot.
But that's still great.
But it's way better than...
It's double what you got in the summer.
Honest to God, in a perfect world, we would see kids 4 times a week when they're not in season and twice a week when they're in season. And that would just continue on a cycle.
Yeah.
But that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Because I think, Toronto's tough. I think in small towns you can do this more. And it might even be the case just with like getting on the sheet and getting touches, even just like getting outside and playing the game of hockey. When you're in these smaller communities, and the Sioux's, a prime example, like, it doesn't take a long time to go anywhere. It's only like across town, it's like 12 minutes, right? And so you have like access to things, everything significantly quicker than you do in a major center like the GTA.
Yeah. But that's why you see these little pop-ups everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So like, for instance, you can find stuff in your hometown. It might not be the best, but if you want to come down here, today Bathurst got no lights on, so you're 45 minutes.
Yeah, it just becomes a bit more of a slog. But nonetheless, I think that's the same. What do you think about on ice skill development during the season then, I guess?
Yeah, I think I had this meeting with the parents last night. I fight with it because at the start when I started coaching, I was like, okay, we're all skill development, and then you do that, and maybe you don't see the gains for 3-4 years, and then people get frustrated because you're not winning games because we're not inside of a team. We're not working on team systems, and I don't mean systems, but I mean like how do we forecheck? How do we play a 3-on-2? How do we play low, right? And so I think if you can get an extra touch on the ice, at least it'd be great. You don't want to bury your kids, but for instance, I'll take like defensemen. If you can't shoot the puck, like you're never going to touch the power play and you're going to struggle getting it in from the blue line. So like maybe you go out and shoot pucks for an hour with somebody, right, which you can do at home. But I still think it's touches, skating 100%.
Right.
Skating.
Because we're talking about technical and tactical,
right?
Right?
So like we've talked about before. Right?
You have your technical skills, which is like shooting, skating, and your tactical. Like how do I position on the ice?
And so I fight with that on the ice all the time.
I just realized we should probably use this board for breakdowns.
I know,
in the future,
it'd be great. Be great.
You just get the overhead camera.
cam.
You guys probably can't see this on the video, and you definitely can't see it on the audio.
We'll start running it. So just quickly, and we'll jump again, because our next point, but what I was going to say is that when you are doing your team training and when you are doing your team warm-ups, and do it to your best of your ability and actually try and work at it. We have this kid, and I won't mention his names, but the kid is year on the team, but he just has a different way about him. And when he does the warm up drills, if it's like the ones that you pretend you're going underneath the ladder, or sorry, the jumping thing, or you're squatting, or you're stretching, or you're doing a lunge with a left arm up, like just the deepness, the attention to it, like the focus on it is incredible. Where other guys are just like, and you've seen it all the time, like not even that, they're just like throwing everything up, and so
checking a box. And
so I think that jumps into our next point about why do kids do that? Why do kids,
cheat on drills? I think it's
hard.
No, I think it's twofold. It's probably, it's multifactorial, but I think part of it's insecurity. So, and this is something that I actually, like, funnily enough, it would make me uncomfortable at times. So you come into the gym, right? Let's say, and we're in the gym and we're lifting with intensity. And so I'll train with like some of the guys here. Like Wiley is actually great for this. Coach Wiley, if you're part of GRP, you know who I'm talking about. If not, Wiley's one of the best strength coaches in the world that no one knows about. But, like Wiley loves to train and he gets after it and like he attacks it. And it's awesome to come train with him because I get to do the exact same thing. I don't need to feel like I need to pull myself back and be a bit more reserved because, whatever, it's a public setting. So if I'm going to deadlift a bar that's going to be heavy and I'm going to pull it hard into the rack, it's going to take a lot of effort. And so there might be, a few seconds, like 5-6 seconds before, where I'm going to get myself in a heightened state, like in a state of arousal to go play, right? Like this is the game. So, I got a little bit of self-talk. Like I might stomp my feet hard, a couple of big deep breaths. And, if you're in a public gym looking around, people be like, what's
this guy doing?
Psycho doing? Because most people are just there checking a box.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you train with Wiley and like, he's like, yeah, let's go. And then, you have because you're together, you've got this nice protective shell where you have a blessing from each other to attack it in the way that you want to, right?
And you feed off each other.
And you feed off each other. So I think part of it with the kids is just an insecurity. It's no different than like telling your friend that you scored really well in your French test. Like, oh, you were smart.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's part of it. I really do.
And I think it's also the way the kids communicate now, right? It's very hard and difficult to.
So they don't want to, like, why are you trying so hard? It's like, because I care.
Because it's cool to.
It's cool not to care, which is always the case and will always be the case. And the sooner that you learn that it is cool to care, the better off you'll be. And, that guy can wash your car in 20 years. But
I hate that. Sorry, I shouldn't say I hate that, but I hate that, like, the I don't care answer from kids.
It's so I think part of it's insecurity. And then part of it is they don't understand how what they're doing is tied to what they want. And so if those two things are separate, then it's a challenge. So if a man who knows his why can bear anyhow. I think that's a Nietzsche quote, but maybe fact check it for me. But it's like if I realize in my head, I'm like, I want to be the best player on the ice, and this warm up helps with that, well, then I'll do it to detail. But if I don't think that this warm up has an impact, or no one's made me understand why, then I'm just.
Or I don't see the results right away. I think that's a huge other thing about inability to play the long game a little bit.
Yeah, delay gratification.
They have the YouTube syndrome where it's like, I don't like this, I'll flip to the next thing.
Right. And so part of our job as coaches, especially in the gym and I think on the ice too, is like creating an environment where like it's okay,
it's safe, and it's okay to be last.
It's safe. It's okay to be last, and it's okay to be intense.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to get after it.
Yeah.
Like, we want you to get after it. We'll get after it with you.
Yeah.
When you walk in the door, like, we'll go to war, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And then
I think the parents need to know that too, because I think when you see a practice and maybe, kids get a little bit overzealous and maybe bump or grind and the kid gets hurt, it's okay. It's out of love. Guys are wanting to make each other better.
Yeah.
And it's a big, important step that they need to learn to take.
And it doesn't mean that I'm going to yell and belittle kids, because that's not the strategy that we're talking about.
No, not as a coach, more as a player on player. Holding each other accountable.
Hold each other accountable. And then I think the other part as a coach is we have a responsibility to educate all the athletes. This is, our adult clients right through to our young clients on why they're doing something, what the value is, and how they're getting better because of it.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be like, because I said so. It's like, no, we're doing this because of this, and this is what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
It's
so,
like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, and the perfect example yesterday happened, like, and I think too, I see this, and I was with, I think it was with the pro girls the other day, and it's like, we're doing a drill, and it's like, they don't, and I see with our guys all the time too. It's almost like they're rushing to finish the drill. Meaning, so you get a shot, you get a bounce to the middle, and you're gonna rip it. But the drill talks for you to, like, after the shot, then to reset and make another step to it. But it's like, I just want to get this over here so I can get to that quicker and get the drill done faster. And everything's got to be a race where the attention to detail needs to be on what I'm doing right away. and the why we're doing stuff too. And I think that's a big key too. Like we're going low to high, and we want to go hard because in a game that's going to open up space for us. The puck might come back to us, and now we're not just throwing it up there because it's part of the drill. But
Yeah.
the cheating part too is I think it just.
Well, why do kids cheat?
I think it just shows. It's just.
Well, then they
nature,
just had no
right?
one to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they just
So
you need to be held accountable.
So I just think don't, because people see it and don't, I don't care if you're last. If you're pushing as hard as you can go, then you're going to get the best out of it. And it might not show up now. It might not show up in a year. It might show up in 3 years. It might show up in 15 years, when something else comes about. So.
Yeah. The ability to endure is a skill that can be That's the whole point of sports, right? Like the whole point of sports is to learn skills that get transferred to other areas of life.
Yeah.
Like most people aren't as lucky as you and get to play a children's game for a living.
Fortunate, yeah,
Yeah.
very fortunate,
And
I know that.
No, I know you know that,
Yeah.
and our guys know that too. And at the end of the day, like we say it all the time. It's like, man, like these guys play a children's game for a living. Let's be clear. Like that's what it is. It matters the most, and it also doesn't matter at all. Like,
Right.
and both those things are okay.
Yeah.
At the
But you have to realize that, right? So you do use the enjoyment factor too, that it's game.
100%. Like what we do is I think one of the greatest things in the world. We help people with their performance. We make them superhuman. It's an incredible thing to do.
Yeah.
It matters a lot. It doesn't matter at all. Like it's completely optional.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this. You don't have to live this
Right.
way.
You can figure something else. So.
But if you do, then it's pretty special.
Yeah, it is.
So
It is.
So you
It's a gift.
It's a gift. So
and you're also they're also giving gifts to people that enjoy watching it, right? That maybe you could never get to that point. So.
Yeah. So I think you need to hold both those things together. The other thing we want to talk about bag skates.
I think it goes back to what you said, enduring, right? Just enduring. Like and it's funny that you say that, right? Because like everybody's key is right away. Like just I think Cam's team that he's helping out this year, they did it for training camp. They skated them hard. And then right away, like the first thing I hear from the kids is like my hips, my groins, right? Because the load is different. But I think it's also an important step to see who's gonna push, who's not gonna stop. And as much as I hated them, and I think it goes right back to what you just said. And I said it to the guys here, the younger guys, when we were doing those skates, because Gary loves his skates at the odd time. And I said, guys, look, I said to him, I said, as much as you guys hate this right now, and I know you do, and I was there with you, I wish I was doing this right now, because then I knew that would mean I would be playing again. Right. Like it sucks. It does. But the feeling afterwards and the accomplishment of doing something, and I think as a team, you have this like what you and Wiley are doing, like you're building this bond of like we're going to go through this together, and we're going to come out the other end. We're going to go to war. And I think we can, if you're doing it on a training purpose, I think you can mix it into different drills, right? Like I think it's important to have pucks. And I think the hardest want to talk about bag skates is battle drills. Like those are harder than, like when you're leaning on somebody, it's sort of probably like grappling or wrestling, like you would say, right? Like when your body's on top of somebody else's and you're pushing them to the thing, that's harder than just skating. Because when you get into the bag skates, the old typical bag skates, I mean, like some guys will skate for days just because they're so talented and they have great stride, right? So I think the bag skates hit guys in different ways. So I think it's important as a coach too, to like not always do the bag skate, maybe mix in the one-on-ones or the pushing in the corner. So, and then mix it in between drills too. I do it between drills, so you don't really have to do it at the end of drills. Right. My dad played in Montreal with Henri Richard.
Yep.
And this is back in the 70s or 80s when probably nobody was doing anything. And Henri, after every drill, would do 2 hard laps. So everybody be going to get water or going to the next drill, and he'd do 2 hard laps after every drill. But at the end of practice, when guys were trying to do some line stuff, Henri would get off. But because he's done it. He did it all already. Yeah. So, but I think it's part of the game. It's that old school mentality, but I think it's something that you go through. It's the same thing. Don't cheat it. It's going to make you better. Like you're not going to run out of gas in that third period. Yeah. And it's a key component, right? Your heart to be able to push. So, yeah. I mean, not every day has to be a suffer fest, but it's okay to have a suffer fest every once in a while. Suffer together. Yeah. It'll be better. 100%. Okay. Last one on the docket today, goalies. Yeah, so I've been asked by a couple guys. So maybe we can we'll get a goalie on. We get a goalie on. Yeah, we'll reach through our Rolodex. But I think
this is a nice place to host. We need to start hosting.
Yeah,
for sure.
The thing about goalies is is, they're put in a different situation. I think we could, get, obviously, Cassidy Preston was on this before, and with mental coaches, I think the mental side of it is a huge difference for goalies. But I was just going to touch on the training side, and I think we've talked about it quickly. But does their training differ from players? I know on the ice they don't like to come and take a lot of shots. Certain guys, I still think that there's an importance of maybe back to the enduring, sort of like a goalie's bag skate is a day when they come out and they just grind and they work and they play, 3-on-3, and they don't get breaks. But how does their training differ? Is the off season and in season training, does it need to be different? Does there need to be more stretching? Does there need to be different, like yoga, or does it, you still just want to get strong and fast?
I think it's different, yes, but I don't think it's as different as people think. Right. That would be my answer. And that's kind of the same across all sports. So parents come in, they're like, oh, is it hockey specific? It's like, yeah, but it's also baseball specific, and it's also soccer specific, and basketball specific, and football specific. Right. It's like the core of development is kind of the same. Like as it pertains to off court, off field, off ice training, strength and conditioning is GPP. It's general physical preparation. Specific physical preparation is your sport, right. So like you play your sport, and then you lift weights, jump, run, throw things. And then you play your sport. You lift weight, run, jump, throw things. And you do these in tandem back and forth. And so, yeah, there is some nuance to that. The way that we, okay, good example. A goaltender, they do have specific positional demands, both in terms of energy system development and in terms of like physical requirements. And so, yeah, we're definitely queuing in on those things. It's like we need to be able to go laterally with more frequency and more velocity than the other players. So let's make sure that we front load their training to satisfy that. So we're going to spend more time in lateral positions than we might with your average player. And we're going to spend more time on certain energy system developments than we would with your average player, because
less shift length.
Like they're hemmed in. They've got like these really intense like bursts, and they've got extended periods of rest. Like, so there is nuance to it, but I think in that category, we're talking about, 20, 30%. And 70% is the same. Whereas when you talk to parents and goalies and goalie coaches, sometimes they flip it. They think 70% of the prep needs to be different and 30% needs to be the same. I would argue it's the opposite. And it's no different for other sports. You're a soccer player, we'll spend more time on running mechanics, lower shank, hamstring, etc., because those things matter because you sprint, than a hockey player. Right? It's different movement or action on the ice. But that's 20.
Still trying to get stronger.
You still need to get stronger.
Yeah.
You still need to move some weight.
Push some weight. Yeah.
You still need to throw things and jump.
Yeah.
So that's my take on off ice goalie training.
Yeah, and I think on ice, I think it's better if we do have
we'll get
goalie training around. But I mean, my biggest thing is it's like you still have to compete. You still have to, be able to shake things off. If I tell the guys, if you have a bad shift, you come off the ice, we had a mental guy, you take a couple deep breaths. That's not who I am. I'm going to, go back. And I think it's the same with goalies. It's just that this is a heightened state though, right? It's like, because everybody looks at you and it's like, well, that you should have had that one, or, you're the last line of defense. But yeah, I think it'd be a good one if we can get somebody on here, and which we'll try to do. And, just go through the whole nuances of it. It's a tough position. There's only two of you, and, yeah, you're a big part of the team, that's for sure.
No doubt. Wicked. Awesome. Thanks, Gards.
Thank you.
Fun sewed. Welcome back. Again and again.
And again.
No, that's great. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy training camp, and we'll see you next week.
Don't cheat.